The bourbon bottle was still half full when her phone lit up the nightstand. Kathleen had left it behind again, charging next to her migraine pills and the framed photo of us from our Cancun anniversary trip. The kind of detail that makes you stupid. That makes you think, huh, she still cares. The screen showed a 212 number, New York, which was funny, because we live in fucking Boise, and below it, the notification, one new voicemail. I almost deleted it. Almost. But then I remembered the way she looked at me during dinner, that smirk she had behind her wine glass when I mentioned fixing the porch swing. Like I'd told a joke only she understood. My thumb hovered, then pressed play. Kathleen's voice came out slurred and glittering, the way it gets after her third martini. Missed you tonight, baby, she purred, not to me, never to me. But don't worry, I kept myself entertained. A wet laugh, the clink of ice cubes. Then, lower, you should have seen his face when I told him I was ovulating. Like watching a puppy get kicked. Pathetic. The glass in my hand cracked before I realized I'd squeezed it. Bourbon pooled on the hardwood, soaking into the rug her mother gave us. 43 men, Josh. My name in her mouth tasted like a spitball. Your bed's been busy. And before you ask, no, I didn't wash the sheets. The message ended. The room didn't. I played it again. And again. Fourth replay, I caught it. A muffled snort in the background, high-pitched and familiar. Not a man. A woman's laugh, smothered fast. Kathleen's keys jingled in the driveway at 1:17 a.m. I was sitting in the dark, the cracked glass still on the floor, her phone charging exactly where she'd left it. She flicked on the lights, all wide eyes and messy hair. Josh? What are you? Had fun at Marriott tonight? I asked, casual as a landmine. She froze mid-step, one stiletto dangling from her fingers. It was a client dinner. You know how these tech bros are with. 43. Her face didn't change. Not a twitch. Just that slow, venomous smile she uses at closing arguments. Oh, sweetheart. You're hallucinating again. Was it the Ambien? Or maybe. She stepped closer, reeking of cigars and someone else's cologne. That little PTSD episode you had last month? The one where you... Clara. Her eyelid flickered. Microscopic. Missable. Unless you'd spent 20 years studying her lying tells. What about my stepsister? She tossed her shoe into the closet. God, you're paranoid. First She's been staying at the Roosevelt Hotel since Tuesday. I stood, pulling the monogrammed cufflink from my pocket. Gold-plated, engraved CM, found jammed in our headboard last week. Funny thing. Their concierge confirmed a Clara Myers checked in with. What was the name again? I leaned in, close enough to taste the lies on her breath. Mr. and Mrs. Ethan Cole. Her smile hardened. You're tracking me now? How fucking? Ethan Cole. I let the name hang. Kathleen's maiden name. Real clever. She lunged for her phone. I let her take it. Watched her stab at the screen, that manicured nail-clicking delete, delete, delete before freezing at the sound of her own drunken voice playing from my pocket. Your bed's been busy. Pathetic. 43 men. I'd airdropped it to myself. You're insane, she hissed, but her neck was flushing scarlet. This proves nothing. I was drunk. I was. Fucking Clara's husband? Ex-husband? What's the flavor this week? I tossed the cufflink at her feet. Tell me, when you two team up on some poor bastard, do you high-five afterward? Split the alimony 50-50? She kicked the cufflink under the bed, but not before I saw her glance at the closet door. The one with the broken lock she'd been meaning to fix for 6 months. Later, I'd find the safe behind her winter coats. Later, I'd learn what 43 really meant. But right then, I smiled. Sleep well, Kat. I grabbed my keys, her voicemail still looping softly in my pocket. Don't wait up. The porch swing creaked as I passed it. One hinge dangling loose. I'd fix it tomorrow. The broken hinge from the porch swing stabbed my palm as I gripped it, a splintered reminder of every chore I'd ever half-assed for her. Kathleen's laughter followed me down the driveway, sharp as the whiskey glass shards still embedded in our bedroom rug. I drove until the sun cracked the horizon, parked outside a 24-hour U-Haul, and realized 3 things. 1. My hands smelled like Clara's vanilla perfume from when she'd accidentally hugged me at Thanksgiving. 2. Storage unit keys don't jingle like house keys. 3. Kathleen had been stealing my Advil for months. The pills hit different when I found them taped under her yoga mat, not the chalky generics I bought, but custom capsules from some boutique pharmacy. I'd flushed them at the U-Haul bathroom while some kid vomited tequila in the next stall. Classy fucking morning. She was waiting in the kitchen when I returned, sipping green sludge from our wedding china. "You look like roadkill," she said, lips glistening with wheatgrass. "Find any imaginary mistresses under the bed?" The key landed between us before I'd fully processed her throw. Metal clattered against granite, the tag spinning lazily. Unit 43. "Since you're so obsessed with my hobbies." She licked spinach off her thumb. "Knock yourself out." I palmed the key, warm from her pocket. "What's in it? Divorce papers? Sex tapes? Body parts?" "Better." Her smile showed too much gum. "Your birthday present from 2019. The lie landed like a grenade with the pin still in. She knew I'd never forget that birthday, the surprise weekend in Vegas where she'd gotten food poisoning and spent 48 hours shitting while I played blackjack alone. Came home to find she'd maxed out my credit line on Chanel earrings. "For my convalescence," she'd said. Now the key's teeth bit into my palm as I drove to the storage facility. Unit 43 sat between a meth head's graffiti-covered locker and what smelled like a dead raccoon. The padlock surrendered with a grease-free click, recently used. Inside, 6 bankers' boxes stacked neat as tombstones. Top box photos. Not the raunchy shit you'd expect, but Kathleen beaming at charity galas, ribbon cuttings, that time she mentored Stanford interns. Every picture had me edited out. Our Malibu sunset? Now just her hair blowing artistically. Our Paris balcony? Cropped to her champagne flute. Second box, receipts. Hotel bills from the Roosevelt, but not the ones I'd found. These were duplicates, paid in cash. Third box, burner phones, 17 of them, all dead. Fourth box, lingerie. Fifth, a Glock 19 with the serial number filed off. The sixth box made me sit down hard on the concrete floor. Our mortgage documents. Our retirement fund statements. The deed to her mother's lake house. Every page notarized, witnessed, and altered to make Kathleen the sole beneficiary. Dated 3 days after our wedding. The gun's weight felt natural in my hands. Cold. Honest. I traced the filing marks on the barrel just as my own phone buzzed. Kathleen's ring-own, that fucking Mariah Carey song she thinks is ironic. I answered with the Glock safety click. "Find your present," she purred. "You've been planning this since 2009. A pause. Then her laugh. Rich, throaty, the one that used to make me hard. "Oh, Josh. You always round up." The call died. So did the overhead light. In the sudden dark, the Glock's laser sight painted a trembling red dot on the wall. Right where someone had scratched 4344 in the concrete. I left everything exactly as found. Except the gun. That came home in my waistband, nestled against the Advil-free bottle of bourbon I'd bought on the way back. The porch swing creaked its welcome as I passed, one hinge still dangling. Tomorrow, I promised it. The light tasted better than Kathleen's. The stench of mothballs and regret hit harder the second time. I'd come prepared, nitrile gloves, a high-powered flashlight, and the Glock tucked in my waistband like a lover's goodbye note. Box 6 sat cracked open like a promise. They weren't photos. Not exactly. Spreadsheets first, dates going back to our first anniversary. Names. Positions. Literally. Carlos, doggy/balcony. Marcus, reverse cowgirl/Chanel headquarters bathroom. Kathleen's handwriting curled mockingly in the margins. Tip, tell him you're allergic to latex. Spermicide stocks up 9% next quarter. The Polaroids came next. Not the cheap drugstore kind, but vintage frames with gilded edges, arranged like museum pieces. Kathleen straddling a balding guy in our breakfast nook, her manicure matching the peonies I'd bought that morning. Another of her blowing smoke rings at camera in our bed, a stranger's tattooed arm slung over her waist, the same arm that fixed our AC last July. But the ledger. Christ. Every page screamed in Kathleen's courtroom-perfect cursive. $5,000, couples therapy, haha. $12,750, marital retreat, in Tahoe, snowed in with Derek from Pfizer. The kicker? Line items for my own credit cards. Amex, $3,000 per MO limit. Max out by 15th for optimal credit score manipulation. I was tallying the withdrawals. $287,650 over 6 years, enough to buy a small island or a large coffin, when the flashlight caught something wedged in the box's false bottom. A receipt from Tiffany's dated 2 weeks prior, $10,325.14 for a platinum necklace. Engraving, to CM, my North Star. The numbers clicked first. $10,000 matched the exact amount donated to Kathleen's women-in-law scholarship that month. But the engraving. I'd seen that phrase somewhere. Our wedding video. Footage surfaced through the bourbon haze, Kathleen choking up during vows, gazing not at me, but at Clara in the front row. "You've always been my North Star," she'd whispered to her stepsister before turning to me with dry eyes. The ledger entries shifted under my gloves. Dates aligned too perfectly. Every deposit to Clara's nonprofit preceded a withdrawal from our account. Every Tiffany purchase coincided with a spike in my life insurance premiums. I was photographing the documents when the flashlight died. Darkness swallowed the unit, but the Glock's laser sight glowed like a cyclops eye. Red beam landed on the back wall where something new glinted, a keyhole behind a peeling 43 sticker. The gun made quick work of the drywall. Inside the cavity, a burner phone taped to a pregnancy test. 2 lines. Positive. The dates on the test placed conception 3 months back. Same week I'd had a vasectomy for our future. The burner's last text, sent yesterday, Clara, still no bleeding. Doc says paternity test at 12 weeks. You promised this wouldn't happen. Kathleen's reply glowed nuclear green. Then find a doc who'll say it did. The bourbon in my glove box tasted like kerosene. I drank halfway to the storage facility's exit before noticing the security camera's shattered lens above Unit 43. Kathleen's Prius passed me on the highway, Clara riding shotgun. They didn't see me crouched behind the U-Haul's steering wheel, the Glock's muzzle drawing figure eights in their direction. North Star, I toasted, watching them merge onto the off-ramp. The safety clicked off. Click, click, click. Tomorrow, I thought. This time, I almost meant it. The PI's office smelled like stale Kung Pao chicken and regret. I handed over the Tiffany receipt wrapped in a Ziploc bag. Couldn't risk her vanilla perfume contaminating evidence anymore. The guy squinted at it through a monocle that had no business existing post, 1993. 10 grand for jewelry? He licked his chapped lips. Either your wife's fucking a magpie or... His computer dinged. The screen reflected in his monocle showed Clara's LinkedIn profile. Ah, the stepsister. What's your rate? He spun his chair toward a wall of surveillance photos, men in suits, women in scrubs, a priest I recognized from Kathleen's charity retreat. For cuckolds? Double. The Glock's weight against my kidney kept me civil. She bought the necklace. I want to know why. Wrong question. He tossed the receipt into a shoebox labeled dead ends. Why'd she let you find it? 3 days later, he called me to a storage unit that wasn't Unit 43. This one reeked of ammonia and poor decisions. Your wife's a Picasso, he said, kicking open a locker. But her sister? He gestured at the walls. Rembrandt. Polaroids covered every surface. Clara in nurse scrubs seducing a groomsman at our wedding. Clara as a bartender slipping roofies to a guy I'd played golf with. Clara in a blonde wig arguing with Kathleen outside our bank. The monocle guy handed me a ledger. Recognize the handwriting? Kathleen's loops and flourishes filled the margins. Next to each photo, dollar amounts, dates, and codes like TDL 5 or MGM 12. TDL Tower. Suite 512, the PI said. MGM Grant. Room 1217. Hotels where? He flipped to a photo of Clara straddling a weeping man in handcuffs. She stages adultery scenes for her clients' divorce cases. I traced the entries. Every code matched a date Kathleen had worked late. Every dollar amount corresponded to withdrawals from our account. They're not splitting profits. The PI's breath smelled like Sichuan betrayal. They're competing. Your wife's ledger shows $287,000 earned. Clarice. He tapped another book. $302K. Difference almost matches that necklace's price. The math clicked. Clara was winning. Why tell me? He hesitated. First human gesture I'd seen from him. Found this taped under your wife's desk. A blood-smeared napkin with a crude knife drawing. Below it, CMKM. Cosa Nostra? I guessed. Clara Myers greater than Kathleen Myers. Mob hierarchy. These symbols, He pointed at the ledger codes. Not hotel rooms. Family codes. TDL, 5. Tony, the Duck Luciano. Made man. Runs construction unions. The Polaroids blurred. Clara laughing with a man whose neck tattoo matched the one from my storage unit photos. Tony Luciano's arm around her waist at our fucking Christmas party. Walk away, the PI said. I'll falsify your death certificate. Costa Rica's nice this time of. I threw a stack of hundreds on his desk. I want everything. Tax returns. Mistresses. What flavor gelato Tony orders on Tuesdays. You'll end up in a landfill. I showed him the pregnancy test from Unit 43. They're planning a family. I'm planning a funeral. He sighed, pulled a flip phone from his ankle monitor, and dialed. Vinny? Yeah. The Boise job's greenlit. On my way out, I noticed his Rolodex. Top card, Clara Myers. Client since 2015. The Glock itched. The PI smiled, monocle flashing. She paid me to tail you last year. Found zip. Must have been a slow month. The bourbon in my car tasted sweeter. They wanted mob ties? I'd give them a fucking war. The printer jammed at 2:17 a.m., same time Kathleen usually checked emails in her locked study. I let the error message blink red for 12 minutes before stumbling downstairs in boxers, muttering about quarterly reports. The fake mortgage statement sat in the tray like a virgin daiquiri at a frat party. Obvious, tempting, drenched in consequence. Notice of default screamed the header above our address. Reverse mortgage foreclosure proceedings initiated. $287,650 debt owed. I'd photoshopped it using the same template from our real 2012 refinance, back when we still fucked in half-built houses. The kicker? A margin call notice from my secret brokerage account showing $43 in cash and 6 figures in leveraged oil futures. I poured apple cider vinegar into the Keurig, her morning ritual, and waited. Kathleen's scream rattled the china cabinet at 6:45 a.m. She stormed into the kitchen waving the papers, left nipple peeking through her silk robe where she'd torn it in rage. What the fuck is this? I sipped my vinegar, watching her pupils dilate. Market downturn. Bullshit. You promised the construction union deal would. Tony Luciano pulled funding. I let the name hang like a noose. Her neck blotched crimson. She dialed Clara so fast she forgot to put the phone on speaker, but our granite countertops conducted sound beautifully. He's completely broke. Kathleen hissed, chip nail polish flaking onto the fake notices. Months wasted. I told you the contractor gig was. Clara's tinny screech cut through. You're the one who wanted to fuck the landscaper instead of the hedge fund guy. We need cash now. Then grow a spine and take the life insurance payout. I coughed, sending Kathleen scrambling to mute the call. She failed. One last mark, Clara growled. The neighbor kid's been eyeing you. College trust fund. 2 weeks, Kathleen hung up, breathing through her nose like a bull. The pregnancy test burned in my pocket. Josh, she forced tears, that old trick where her left eyebrow twitches. We need to talk about our future. I let her stroke my thigh, tracking the exact moment her fingers registered the Glock under my sweatpants. Safety's on, I said cheerfully. The Keurig chose that moment to spit vinegar steam onto her Valentino slippers. While she cursed, I accidentally knocked over the sugar bowl, the one with the Raspberry Pi camera embedded in its base. The live feed showed Clara's text flooding in. Clara, 911. Diner. Now. Clara, bring the gun. Clara, and Plan B pills. I left the fake default notice crumpled in the sink, edges dissolving in vinegar. The real money had been offshore since yesterday. The Glock? Loaded with blanks. But the camera kept rolling as Kathleen snatched her emergency go bag from behind the water heater, the same spot she'd hidden my Christmas presents for a decade. Inside, $43,000 cash, burner phones, and a positive pregnancy test dated yesterday. The PI's voice echoed from last week. They'll escalate now. You sure you want this? On screen, Clara's newest text glowed. We'll use the kid as collateral. I texted the PI one word. Green light. Then I restocked the sugar bowl, real this time, and hummed along to the hidden mic picking up Kathleen's Prius peeling out. The Keurig's reflection showed me smiling. Sweetener for the sweethearts. Let them taste blood money. The defibrillator pads itched like hell under my shirt. I'd rigged them using jumper cables and a car battery from Clara's Prius, poetic fucking justice, with enough insulation to avoid actually frying myself. The real artistry was the nitro pills I'd swapped into my Advil bottle. Kathleen had watched me pop them for back pain all week, never noticing the way I held them under my tongue like a Vegas magician. I timed it for her yoga hour. Always downward dog at 8:15 p.m., right after her third martini. Josh? Her mat squeaked as she craned her neck upside down. Why are you sweating like that? I clutched the armchair carved from our wedding elm. Chest. Feels tight. Let my left arm go slack. Classic symptom, per the EMT manual I'd studied at the storage unit. She rolled her eyes. Dramatic much? Take an Advil. The first seizure convulsion nearly dislocated my jaw. Thank Christ for those college drama electives. I slid to the floor like a marionette with cut strings, twitching in rhythm to the defibrillator's hidden timer. Oh fuck. Her bare feet slapped hardwood. Josh? Josh. Through slitted eyes, I watched her check my pulse. Wrong wrist. Amateur. Then sprint for her phone. But not before rifling through my pockets. Clara. He's coding. A pause. No, I didn't fucking stab him. It's a goddamn heart attack. My phone buzzed in her hand as she dialed 911. She silenced it, not seeing the screen flash recording, 047. Listen, she hissed. If he dies tonight, the insurance pays double. Remember the clause? Clara's reply crackled, but the nurse said, screw the timeline. We'll claim preterm labor from the trauma. Kathleen's heel ground into my pinky. Just get here before the EMTs. And bring the, The defibrillator timer vibrated against my ribs. 3-2. I arched my back, howling like a banshee. Kathleen dropped the phone. It skittered under the couch, still recording. Stay with me, you bastard. She straddled my chest, fake tears dripping onto my shirt. Don't you dare die before signing the... The front door crashed open. Clara charged and waving a syringe. Move. I've got epinephrine. Kathleen grabbed her wrist. Are you insane? Let the EMTs find him dead. The sisters froze mid-struggle as my phone buzzed again. Clara spotted the recording notification first. You dumb bitch. He's live streaming. Kathleen lunged for the couch. I let my eyes flutter open. Looking for this? I wheezed, pulling her phone from my waistband. Her selfie video from last week's girls' trip glowed between us. Clara snorting coke off a gigolo's abs in our marital bed. Clara's syringe plunged toward my neck. I rolled left, yanking the defibrillator wires. Sparks erupted. The car battery surged, blowing every fuse in the house. Darkness swallowed their screams. I crawled to the breaker box, flipped the mains, and flickered the lights like a goddamn strobe party. You're supposed to be dead. Kathleen shrieked. I caught her wrist mid-swing, the stolen Glock suddenly in my other hand. Funny. I clicked the safety off. I was gonna say the same thing. Clara's syringe rolled under the fridge. My phone kept recording from the couch's shadows, capturing every hissed confession. But the real prize? The look on Kathleen's face when I pulled the defibrillator pads free, revealing the bulletproof vest underneath. Heart still ticking. I pressed the gun to her designer yoga pants. Let's see if yours does. The sirens arrived as I mouthed checkmate. Her phone buzzed with a new notification. Cloud backup complete. I'd taken out 2 birds with 1 cardiac event. The EMTs found me sipping bourbon, vest off, nitro pills dissolving in Kathleen's abandoned martini. False alarm, I told them. But you might want to check the ladies' heart rates. Clara's syringe tested positive for pancuronium. Kathleen's nails tested positive for my blood. And my phone? It tested positive for 487,000 viral views by morning. The trailer reeked of cat piss and regret. Clara's ex-husband answered the door shirtless, a faded Team Clara tattoo stretched across his sagging pectorals. His name was Greg. Or maybe Craig. The PI's file said he'd been a dentist before she took his practice, his sanity, and his left kneecap. I'm done talking, he slurped from a Schlitz tall boy. You're the 4th this month. She send you? Tell her I'll. I tossed a Ziploc bag on his sticky Formica table. Inside, the Tiffany receipt, Clara's burner phone from Unit 43, and a photo of her from our wedding, that smirk she reserved for open graves. Greg's beercan crumpled. You married her? Stepsister. He laughed until phlegm rattled. Oh Christ. You're the mark. The story came out between Marlboro Reds and a half-eaten Spam sandwich. How Clara miscarried during their Belize honeymoon. How she'd bled artfully on the resort towels while texting her lover. How Greg later found the fake hospital bracelet in her makeup bag and the stage blood capsules in her douche kit. Said I pushed her down the stairs. He lifted his shirt, showing a scarred kidney. Her brother's a pro with a tire iron. I traced the bullet hole in the Glock's grip. She ever mention a North Star? Greg froze. Opened a rusted cookie tin labeled, "Fuck you, Clara," and pulled out a USB drive shaped like a molar. Her starter kit. Blackmail templates, Photoshop files, even a tutorial on faking contractions. The drive contained folders labeled by year. 2012. Greg's dental clients blackmailed for affairs they never had. 2015. Faked car accident claims. 2017. My favorite, a subfolder titled Miscarriage 2.0 with hospital floor plans and a shopping list. Sheep's blood, halal. ER intake forms, blank. Chaplain's robe, XL. But the kicker was a spreadsheet titled Long Game. Line items for my construction company's permits, Kathleen's bar association dues, even our dog's vet bills. She plays nurse sometimes, Greg said, tossing me a nurse's ID badge. Volunteer gigs. Hunts rich widowers at chemo centers. The badge photo showed Clara in scrubs, her smile sterile. The expiration date matched the week my dad died of pancreatic cancer. She'd signed his guest book as Clara Myers, hospice angel. Greg lit another smoke off the stove burner. Still want to fuck with her? I pocketed the USB. Know anyone who sells sheep's blood? He laughed, then coughed up something dark. Check the freezer. Between the Hungry Man dinners and frostbitten vodka, I found 6 bags labeled ONEG. Kept souvenirs. Greg winked. For the right price. I left him $500 and the Glock. Self-defense. He ejected the magazine, revealing empty chambers. She took the bullets years ago. The USB weighed heavy as I drove past Clara Myers, RN billboards. At a rest stop, I uploaded everything to a dummy forum for scorned husbands. Let the wolves come. But first, a gift. The sheep's blood arrived at Clara's doorstep in a Tiffany box. The card read, "Thinking of you. Your North Star." Her call came as I hacked her Match.com profile, changing looking for commitment to into blood play. "You're dead," she screamed. I played Greg's audio file. Sheep's blood, halal. Silence. Then a sound I'd never heard from Clara, a whimper. "Check your nursing license status," I said. "P.S. Say hi to your 43rd victim." The Arizona Board of Health's confirmation email hit her inbox as we hung up. Revenge tasted better with kosher salt. The offshore account number matched our anniversary date, April 3rd, because fuck sentimentality. I wired the last million while Kathleen was getting her roots touched up, using the same laptop she'd bought me for porn addiction therapy. The confirmation email hit as her stylist rinsed the dye, poetic fucking timing. The divorce papers went into her safety deposit box alongside 3 items. 1. A bullet casing from the Glock she'd gifted me last Christmas, now at the bottom of Tony Luciano's pool. 2. The USB drive from Greg, loaded with Clara's miscarriage tutorial. 3. A Polaroid of our wedding bed with 43 notches carved into the headboard. My note simply read, "Checkmate has a 9mm flavor." Her reaction played through the spyware I'd installed on her Mercedes Bluetooth. First came the metallic screech of the safety deposit key. Then a choked sob. Then the call we'd all been waiting for. "Kathleen, he's liquidated everything. The accounts are." "Clara, bullshit. There's offshore layers, even I couldn't." "Kathleen, you said he was sentimental. You said the kid would." "Clara, I said get pregnant, not get stupid." I watched their location pins converge on the storage facility through the PI's hacked feed. Unit 43's camera showed Kathleen slamming the ledger against Clara's chest, screaming about forged signatures. Clara pulled a knife, same one she'd threatened Greg with, and sliced through Kathleen's Birkin. "You owe me $302,000. Clara hissed as $100 bills snowed around them. Kathleen's laugh cracked mid-snarl. "Your cut was the necklace, remember? My North Star." The audio cut as Clara tackled her into box number 6. I toasted them with bourbon in my father's cracked mug, the one Kathleen called trashy, but secretly used for mixing bleach solutions. The offshore balance glowed on my phone. $4,304,302.17. Precise to the penny she'd stolen for her sanctuary spa weekends. At midnight, her burner phone buzzed with a new contact. Unknown. Let's talk percentages. I replied with the Polaroid of her and Tony Luciano from Christmas 19, their tongues wagging like dogs at a barbecue. Attached, the bullet casing from the storage unit wall, now dusted with Clara's prints. Her read receipt popped up as police lights flooded Unit 43's feed. I muted the notifications and opened the real safety deposit box, the one under the banker's dead name that even the PI didn't know about. Inside, a single bullet. Smith & Wesson .40 caliber. Same as the Glock. Same as the casing. Same as the round that killed Kathleen's brother. The banker's hands shook as he handed me the key. Sir, I must advise. Advise this. I tucked the bullet into his breast pocket, brass warm from my palm. Tell Clara it chambers nicely. His gulp echoed through the vault. On the drive home, Kathleen's Audi swerved past me, rear bumper dangling. Clara's Prius followed, dinted hood smoking. I saluted them with the mug, bourbon sloshing over Dad's faded, world's okayest mechanic decal. The porch swing creaked its hello, one hinge finally fixed. Told you I'd get to it, I said, settling into the fresh wood stain. The Glock's empty chamber clicked like a metronome. Tick, tock, tomorrow. The safety deposit box smelled like her mother's funeral lilies. Intentional, since I'd dabbed the same Estee Lauder perfume Kathleen used to comfort grieving clients. Inside, a single flash drive nestled in black velvet, its casing engraved with CM in her father's handwriting. I'd pried it from his coffin before they lowered him into the plot she later sold for a parking lot. Kathleen's scream when the banker handed her the key echoed through the vault's surveillance mics. She'd expected diamonds, deeds, maybe my severed finger. Not this digital grenade with Clara's fingerprints all over the pin. The drive contained 3 files. 1. Miscarriage Masterclass.mp4. Clara practicing fake labor moans while texting Tony Luciano. She bought the sheep's blood. Dumb bitch thinks I'm her ride or die. 2. NorthstarDiaries.xlsx. A spreadsheet cross-referencing Kathleen's trysts with Clara's blackmail payouts. Column 43. Landscaper, Juan, $5,000. Bonus. Got her to miscarry in Josh's truck. 3. BedtimeStory.mp3. Clara's voice, drowsy from Xanax. Please, Kath's so desperate to be loved she'd fuck a corpse if I dressed it in Armani. But the piece de resistance? The sticky note stuck to her mother's pearls, the ones she'd pawned to pay Clara's bail last year. My block letters dripped irony. 43 men? You forgot one. Jay? She played the files on the banker's computer, mascara bleeding as Clara's sneer filled the marble chamber. Remember the miscarriage? Clara smirked in Miscarriage Masterclass, holding up a vial of pig plasma. Kath cried harder than when her dad croaked. Sentimental bitch. The banker shifted uncomfortably as Kathleen's fist connected with his monitor. This is illegal. I'll check the metadata I'd written on the drive's label. Timestamps placed Clara in our guest room during Kathleen's miscarriage, same night the PI caught her swapping prenatal vitamins for diuretics. GPS logs showed Clara visiting a sperm bank 43 times. Kathleen's burner phone buzzed with an unknown number, Clara's newest alias. She answered with a shriek. You skank. You recorded us. Listen to file 3, minute 2:14. I texted from the parking lot, watching her through binoculars. The audio crackled. Best part? Josh thinks the vasectomy failed. Dumbass never checked the clinic's Yelp reviews. All those happy dad testimonials? My burner accounts. Kathleen's reflection in the banker's window showed her connecting dots I'd drawn years ago. The fake clinic paperwork. The bribed urologist. The miracle baby that was really Clara's nephew by blackmail. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up the clinic's LLC records. There it was, registered to Clara's ex-husband's dental practice. Why? She whispered to the empty vault. My reply came via intercom, voice distorted through the PA system. You picked 43 men. Clara picked you. The exit alarms blared as she fled, clutching the pearls and drive. But the real trap? The RFID chip I'd sewn into the velvet lining, pinging her location to every burner phone in Tony Luciano's crew. Let them hunt. I drove past her Mercedes stalled at a red light, Clara's voice still leaking from its speakers. Kath so pathetically lonely she kept count, like notches on a bedpost. Wait till she finds out I doubled it. The note's true meaning hit her at mile marker 43. I know because she swerved into a ditch, sobbing as she dialed the PI's number. He answered on speaker. Joshu, 86. I corrected, watching her claw at the RFID chip under her collar. She forgot to carry the one. The line went dead. So did her headlights. The last GPS ping came from a payphone outside a sheep farm. How pastoral. I left a fresh drive in her glove box. This one labeled 44.mp4 and whistled all the way home. The porch swing creaked the truth she'd never admit. The final man was always me. The barn reeked of sheep blood and regret. Clara cornered me between the rotting hay bales and the chainsaw I'd conveniently left unplugged, her knife hand trembling in that way bad actors do before monologues. The blade caught the moonlight, same Damascus steel she'd gifted Kathleen for our anniversary. Poetic fucking symmetry. You ruined everything. Spittle dotted my shirt. Classic Clara overacting. I leaned into the knife's chill, letting it kiss my jugular. Greg says hi. Her eyelid twitched. First honest reaction all night. That drunk couldn't identify the knife he bought you? The one with the serial number under the hilt. I tapped the blade. C-1453. Matches his police report. The knife wavered. I pressed harder, blood beating. Tony Luciano's a retired plumber. His crew? The VFW Bowling League. Her free hand crept toward her pocket. I sighed, pulling out her phone. Swiped during the barn door struggle. Looking for this? The screen showed her Venmo history. $43 payments to Tony the Tiger for consulting. Fake mob ties. I'd scad. Amateur hour, Clara. Real gangsters use crypto. She lunged. We crashed into the chainsaw, her blade skittering into the sheep dung. I straddled her, knees pinning those Pilates-toned arms. Greg kept receipts. The blood bags? Tax deductible as livestock supplies. You're dead. She bucked, dislodging a hay bale. Dust swirled, but I caught the flicker of panic. Bank foreclosed on your Malibu timeshare. I read from her banking app, overdraft fees? Cute. Her knee found my groin. We rolled through filth, her manicure drawing blood down my cheek. You think you've won? She rasped. My partner's already. I froze. Partner. She clamped her mouth shut. Too late. The barn door creaked. We both turned toward the sound. Nothing but shadows. Long enough for me to slam her wrist into the chainsaw's teeth. Crack. The knife clattered away. Clara cradled her hand, swearing through tears. I stood, brushing hay from my shirt. Your partner's been draining your accounts since May. Ask Kathleen about the Cayman withdrawals. Her head snapped up. Kath's not smart enough? Agreed. I tossed her phone into the sheep trough. But she's greedy enough. Check the memo line on last month's transfers. Clara scrambled for the syncing device. I left her screaming at the screen. $43,000 payments labeled Final Settlement. CM from Kathleen's offshore account. The real kicker? The timestamps matched her jailhouse calls to Tony. Sleep tight, Nurse Ratchet. I slid the barn door shut, padlock clicking. Watch out for wolves. Her screams faded as I reached the porch. The swing creaked a greeting, chains glinting with fresh grease. Tomorrow, I promised it. This time, the lie stuck. The fire marshal's report from 2007 smelled like bourbon and forgery. I'd found it taped under Kathleen's vanity, nestled between her vibrator collection and the ashes of our marriage certificate. The cover page showed the charred remains of her childhood home, where her brother died saving their mother from flames. Or so the eulogy claimed. The photo tucked inside told a different story, Clara in a soot-stained sundress, arms slung around a shirtless man with Kathleen's crooked nose and a prison tattoo reading CM. The date stamp, 2 weeks after the funeral. Cute couple, I told the raccoon rummaging through my dumpster. Bet they roast marshmallows over arson evidence. The PI's files arrived via encrypted drone, because apparently even sky rats work for Clara now. Inside, Security footage of dead brother Marcus withdrawing $43,000 from my stolen account, a lease agreement for Unit 44 under his alias, and dental records matching the skeleton from our barn. Plot twist, I muttered, cross-referencing the files with Clara's blackmail spreadsheets. Marcus's fingerprints popped up everywhere, on the Glock's filed-off serial number, the forged life insurance policies, even the sheep blood invoices. I tracked him to a Motel 6 outside Reno, where he'd registered as Marty Collins, HVAC repair. Through the window, I watched Clara trace his CM tattoo with her knife tip. "You promised me a clean exit," she hissed. Marcus laughed, all Kathleen's mannerisms in a thicker skull. "Exit's coming. Once Josh takes the fall for the barn body." I kicked the door in, Glock aimed at his crotch. "Speaking of falls, how's Mom's grave treating you?" Clara lunged. I sidestepped, letting her face plant into the mini-fridge. Marcus reached for his toolbox, where my stolen pistol gleamed under a layer of meth. "Ballistics matched," I said, tossing the fire report at his feet. Turns out Mom's corpse was a stripper from Vegas. Her dental records, I flashed the facts from the morgue, say she died of syphilis, not smoke inhalation. Marcus palmed a wrench. "You don't know shit. No, you've been banging Clara since her braces days." I swiped through his Grindr profile on the motel TV. Cute dick pic. Shame about the herpes sore. Clara spat blood on the carpet. "He's lying." "Am I?" I queued up their prison visitation logs, 87 hours of legal consultations during Marcus's armed robbery stint. Funny time to plan a fake funeral. Marcus charged. The wrench glanced off my shoulder as I squeezed the Glock's trigger. Click. Empty. Clara's laugh rattled the meth pipes. "You really think we'd leave bullets in?" The barn skeleton's skull shattered Marcus's nose. I'd kept it in my trunk since the police left, femur making a decent club. "Meet Dad," I said, swinging again. "Say hi to Mom." Clara scrambled for the door as Marcus howled, but the PI's goons waited outside with handcuffs and a video camera. "Fraud's too light," I said, pressing Marcus's prints onto the stolen Glock. "Let's try double homicide." His blood made nice ink for the confession letter. I FedExed it to Kathleen with a Polaroid of her dead brother's new nose job. The note? "Family reunions or murder. J." The porch swing held steady that night, chains oiled with Marcus's bail money. "Tomorrow," I told it, buffing Clara's knife with my shirt. The lie finally fit. The bone china felt heavier than usual, the same set we'd registered for at Macy's 20 years ago when Kathleen still pretended to like scalloped edges. I'd reheated her favorite, beef bourguignon from that overpriced meal kit she'd subscribed to using my dead mother's credit card. The scent of thyme and betrayal hung thick as I adjusted the GoPro hidden in the pepper grinder. "You look tense," Kathleen purred, swirling the '07 Cabernet I'd decanted into her monogram decanter. Her left ring finger still bore the tan line from the wedding band she'd pawned. "Regretting your little stunt with the life insurance?" I clinked my glass against hers, the Xanax dissolving neatly in her third pour. "Just savoring the moment." She ate like a starved actress, performative moans, eyelash flutters, the works. "God, I'd forgotten you could cook." "Funny." I nudged the salt cellar, stuffed with a voice recorder, closer. "You told the book club I burned water." Her laugh hit the right octave of nostalgia. "You remembered." The drug took effect during dessert. Her fork slipped, chocolate torch smearing across the divorce papers I'd left as a placeholder centerpiece. "Josh, did you?" "Rest, Kat." I caught her forehead before it hit the table, her phone sliding from her clutch. "Long day ahead." Her murmurings began as I thumbed through her messages. Fragments of the past we buried. Not my fault. The barn. Fire. I froze. The barn where we'd stored her brother's remains. The fire that never quite added up. Her phone lit up with Clara's latest threat. "You playing house instead of transferring funds?" I typed through Kathleen's trembling snores. "He's signing over everything tonight. Bring the paperwork to Unit 44. The response was instant. Finally grew a spine. 10 p.m. I pocketed the phone, pausing at Kathleen's slack face. A droplet of wine trailed from her lip like old blood. For a heartbeat, I saw the woman who'd laughed at my dumb jokes in the ICU waiting room, back when her mother's cancer felt like the worst thing that could happen to us. Then she whimpered, "The gas cans." Marcus said. The sentiment curdled. I pressed her thumb to the phone scanner, authorizing a $43,000 wire to a Cayman account Clara didn't realize I controlled. The confirmation chirp synced with the GoPro's blinking light. Sleep tight, Mrs. Myers. I draped her grandmother's shawl over her shoulders, the same one she'd used to smuggle jewelry out of probate court. Tomorrow's a big day. The grandfather clock chimed as I disabled the security cameras. In the driveway, I texted the PI a photo of Kathleen's muttering lips, timestamped and geotagged. His reply, audio matches arson investigators' notes from '07. The porch swing creaked as I passed, chains freshly oiled with the motor grease from Marcus's abandoned motorcycle. Tomorrow, I promised it. This time, the lie tasted like closure. The barn's rotting timbers groaned like the lies we'd buried there. I found the depression in the earth beneath the tractor seat she'd always forbidden me to move, the one with her brother's initials carved under decades of grease. The shovel bit into soil that hadn't been disturbed since the summer Kathleen developed a sudden passion for organic composting. The femur surfaced first, still wearing the Rolex I'd bought Marcus for his 18th birthday. The engravings caught my headlamp beam. To MCM, never stop running. Ironic, given the bullet hole in the skull's parietal bone. Should have pawned the watch, I told the crows roosting in the rafters. The .40 caliber casing glittered among the rib bones, same as the Glock she'd planted in my safe. Neighbor Wilson's Mastiff started barking as I brushed dirt from the jawbone. Gold crown on molar number 3 matched Marcus's prison dental records. The final proof came wedged in the clavicle, Kathleen's strawberry chapstick, expiration date 2006. Headlights sliced through the barn slats. I pocketed the casing and chapstick just as Wilson's flashlight beam hit my back. Josh? That you looting again? Just verifying soil pH. I called, kicking hay over the grave. Kathleen's new rose bushes. Bullshit. I'm calling sheriff's department. The Glock's weight tempted me as his truck tires spat gravel. Instead, I texted the PI, code cremation. His reply came as sirens wailed in the distance, dump truck en route. 7 minutes. The skeleton went bone by bone into the fertilizer bags Kathleen had stockpiled for her Zen garden. I sprinkled lime powder from her gardening shed. Turns out she'd bought enough to dissolve a horse. Deputy Hayes found me sipping sweet tea on the porch swing, boots caked in compost. Wilson says you're desecrating graves now. Wilson's been sampling his own moonshine. I nodded at the freshly turned earth. Check yourself. He radioed for a cadaver dog as I excused myself to vomit straight to the master bathroom, where Kathleen's pregnancy test glowed positive in the trash. The urine strips batch number matched the expired tests in Clara's nursing bag. The K9 unit arrived as I flushed the evidence. The German Shepherd beelined for the fertilizer bags, whining at the lime-soaked remains. Hayes lifted a femur fragment. This human. From the butcher's. I pulled up the receipt I'd photoshopped at 3 a.m. organic bone meal. Kathleen's into biodynamics now. His flashlight caught the Rolex peeking from my pocket. That looks expensive. Birthday gift. I twisted the faceplate to reveal fresh engraving. To JCM, 20 years. Cheaper than divorce. The lie held through 3 more questions. Held through the cadaver dog's false negative from the lime. Held through Wilson's red-faced accusations. It shattered when Hayes' boot dislodged Marcus's skull from the hay bale. Explain. I lunged for the tractor's ignition. The engine roared to life, scattering deputies as I reversed through the barn wall. The skull bounced into the manure pile as I hit the county road, the PI's dump truck intercepting pursuit. At the quarry's edge, I fed Marcus's remains into the rock crusher. His Rolex made a satisfying ping against the steel teeth. The porch swing was burning when I returned, flames licking at Kathleen's monogrammed cushions. She stood silhouetted in the bedroom window, Clara's knife glinting as she cut the chains. Bad gamble, I called up. She dropped the severed chain through the flames. You forgot to carry the one. The swing collapsed in a shower of sparks. I caught one in my palm, let it singe flesh. The neighbor's camera flashed. Let him watch. Tomorrow's problem. The barn reeked of gasoline and bad decisions. Clara stepped from the shadows with Marcus's knife at her back, her Glock trained on my chest. The same weapon I'd emptied yesterday while she slept off Xanax mimosas at the motel. Into the road, hero. She thumbed the safety with practiced flair. Behind her, Marcus grinned through his ruined nose, a Picasso painting come to life. I leaned against the tractor, playing Marcus's prison confession through the PA system. Kath set the fire, But Clara's the one who bashed Mom's skull in. Said the life insurance wasn't enough. Clara's shot clicked on empty. Click, click, click. Amateur hour, I sighed, tossing the bullets into the oil drum. Real pros checked the chamber. Marcus lunged. His blade caught my sleeve as I ducked, slamming the PA volume to max. Sheriff Hayes' voice boomed. Clara Myers, you're under arrest for the 2007 homicide of Margaret Collins. The barn doors burst open. Not cops, just spotlights from the PI's drone swarm. Marcus shielded his eyes, howling as the recording looped Clara's sweetest admission, buried the bitch under the rose bushes. Best fertilizer money can't buy. Clara hurled the Glock. It shattered the drone feed, plunging us into darkness. I caught her wrist mid-stab, her vanilla perfume now laced with panic sweat. Checkmate, I breathed, snapping the handcuff I'd stolen from Deputy Hayes around her ankle, the other end clamped to the tractor's tow hitch. Marcus froze at the sound of real sirens. You promised no cops. I lied. I tossed him the gas can. Better run, Marty. Hayes knows about the stripper's remains in your septic tank. He fled as Clara clawed at the cuff. They'll never believe you. I knelt, pressing the voice recorder to her lips. They don't have to. Her confession spilled under duress. Every arson, every blackmail, every drop of sheep's blood. The drone cameras captured it all in 4K. Hayes' cruiser skidded into the yard as I pocketed the recorder. Evening, Sheriff. They were just confessing. Clara's scream curdled the night air. He planted everything. Hayes eyed the gas can, the cuffs, the bone fragments at her feet. Funny. Your brother said the same thing before we found Mom's Rolex in his colon. The porch swing's charred chains glinted under police lights as they hauled her away. I salvaged one link. Good steel. Worth reforging. Tomorrow, I told it, buffing Clara's tears off the metal. For once, the promise didn't taste like a lie. The interrogation room smelled like burnt coffee and Kathleen's rotting dignity. She gripped the table, same hands that once traced promises on my chest, now chipped and ink-stained from her mugshot. You can't do this, she hissed. We had a life. I slid the USB drive across the table, watching her pupils dilate at the label, CM__final cut. Corrections made the ending better. Her lawyer, some kid who probably still had bar exam flashcards in his Honda, cleared his throat. Mr. Myers, if you'll just. The files auto-delete if tampered with. I tapped the drive. Password's your anniversary. Kathleen's laugh cracked. We had two. The real one. Her breath hitched. June 3rd, 2005. The courthouse elopement she'd buried under years of fabricated wedding albums. The day she'd whispered, I'll never hurt you, with her brother's blood still under her nails. Detective Hayes leaned in the doorway, sipping sludge from a world's okayest dad mug I'd gifted him during the barn fiasco. We good here? Kathleen lunged as I stood, her shackles scraping raw circles into wrists that used to drip Cartier. You owe me. I adjusted the wire hidden under my wedding band, the one that had recorded every jailhouse call between her and Clara. Paid in full, Cat. The evidence locker swallowed the USB hole, but the copy in my boot, labeled alternate ending, warmed my ankle like a loyal dog. Hayes cornered me at the vending machine. Smart play, letting them think they controlled the narrative. I fed quarters into the slot. Not smart. Patient. Bullshit. His pen tapped the case file. You had the affair evidence in 19. Why wait? The Snickers bar clunked into the tray. I unwrapped it slowly, savoring her surveillance photo paperclipped to the wrapper, Kathleen sobbing into Clara's shoulder at the arraignment. Ever watch a spider build its web? I took a bite. The beauty's in the trapped realizing they're stuck, right before the venom hits. He snorted, but his eyes tracked the security feed where Kathleen vomited into a wastebasket. You enjoy this? The chocolate tasted like ashes. Enjoyment's for amateurs. The USB copy burned through my sock during the drive home. I parked at the storage facility, watching Clara's bail hearing live stream on a burner phone. Her nervous breakdown almost looked convincing, right up until she winked at the camera. Alternate ending went into Unit 44's ceiling panel. The real files Hayes had, edited to pin everything on Clara. The copy? Raw footage of Kathleen coaching Marcus through gas emplacements. Let her rot in minimum security. Let Clara take the murder charge. The porch swing skeleton greeted me, chains replaced with barbed wire from Marcus's abandoned bike. I rocked until dawn, Kathleen's final plea echoing with each creak. You'll watch? Every damn day, I told the sunrise. The lie tasted like truth this time. The salt air tastes like Kathleen's tears the day they sentenced her. I let the Wi-Fi signal flicker as I scroll through her perp walk photos. Orange isn't her color. The bartender slides over another rum punch with a napkin that says stop staring at your phone in Comic Sans. Classic Belize. Her call comes as I'm wiping condensation from the glass. Unknown number, 212 area code. I answer with the safety click of my new Glock under the table. Miss me? Clara's voice hasn't lost its edge, even through prison tin can acoustics. I sip my drink, watching a pelican dive bomb a tourist ceviche. Escaped or released? Her laugh crackles. Wouldn't you like to know? The bartender's TV switches to a news segment about an armed and dangerous blonde spotted in Cancun. The ticker below reads couple scams investors with fake offshore accounts. Freeze frame shows Clara in a brunette wig I last saw in Unit 44. North Star's looking dim. Clara. Funny. Paper rustles on her end. Just found your little goodbye present. I picture her unfolding the fake passport I'd hidden in her escape bag. Claire Montgomery. Photo from our disastrous Costa Rica trip. The one where she'd accidentally pushed me into a waterfall. Cute touch with the visa stamps, she says. But you forgot Belize. The rum turns to acid. I scan the beach. A vendor selling conch shells winks, his neck tattoo peeking above his collar. Tony Luciano's old cellmate. Still using has-been muscle? I stand, tossing cash on the bar. I upgraded. Her breath hitches, a rare slip. You'll never. I hang up, kick over my chair, and grab the go-bag stashed under the pier. Inside, another passport, James Carter, $43,000 in non-sequential bills, and Clara's Tiffany necklace from the storage unit. The engraving glints mockingly in the sunset, my North Star. The bartender's radio crackles with police codes. I ditch the necklace in a passing kid's sand bucket and wade into the surf. Salt water soaks the gun tucked in my waistband, the fake IDs, every lie we've traded since '05. Let her track the necklace. Let her think she's closing in. The real money's already in Mauritius. The real revenge? Knowing she'll spend her freedom hunting a ghost while I rebuild from the ashes of their greed. I text the PI one word, green light. His reply pings as I board the fishing charter. Phase 2 live. Enjoy the show. The engine roars to life. Somewhere behind me, a brunette screams at a conch vendor. The waves laugh. I laugh harder. Tomorrow's problem.